everybody. Truly, God is great and He's greatly to be praised. And we thank the Lord for His goodness and mercy. And this is Morning Manna, and I'm working on some things to be able to get the word out to God's people on multiple devices and platforms. And so this morning, however, I want you to think about the power of God's will and the power of your will. Because there seems to be kind of an imbalance of thought in the Christian world, because you listen to some commentators and it seems to be all my will. So it's just about what I'm attempting to do, which really puts my life and my salvation and everything in my hand. But then you have others who just speak strictly on the will of God's hand in my life. So then I fall into the mindset of, well, if He has everything under control, then do I need to do anything? But I do want you to know that there's a balance the way God has created this. So there are some things that I do in time that ultimately will fall in alignment with what He has already ordained in eternity. This is the power of the sovereignty of God. Understanding the sovereignty of God, child of God, allows for me to walk in my daily life and not have fear and not have trepidation, because I understand that the steps of a good man are ordered by God. Which brings me to this morning's little morning manna, and that is, you've been set up for victory. Everything is in alignment for you to have victory. God says, it's not my will for you to fail. And this is what Paul points out in Romans chapter 8. I'm going to read this to you. It's a memory verse, but I want you to hear it on this morning, and I pray that it encourages you. This is what he says in 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, who are the called according to His purpose. But watch this. For whom He did foreknow, He did predestinate to be conformed to the image of His Son, and that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom He did predestinate, He also called. And whom He called, He did also justify. And whom He justified, He also glorified. What shall we say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? Child of God, I don't want you to be mistaken this morning that God has already set it up for you to have victory. He says all things work together for good to them that love God, who are the called according to His purpose. But before He got to the call, watch this, He predestined you, that you would be conformed to the image of His Son. As you begin to just submit your will to the will of God, note here that God has already predestined your victory. But whom He did predestinate, He foreknew and predestinated, watch this now, He also called them. Your calling, when you reach time, it might have been at a little church, it might have been at the altar, wherever it was. God sent that call out, though, in eternity, which meant you were called long before you got here. It was simply time and eternity connecting up together when you finally came to the place where you said, I hear the call of God. But that's not it. Note here that whom He also called, He justified. But look at this. He has your future in place already. He says He also glorified. Thank you, Jesus. So this is Paul's conclusion. What shall we say then? If God be for us, who can be against us? Two things I want you to take out of that. Number one, if God be for you, that is, if He's going ahead of you, He's already paved the way for you. But then secondly, if God be for you, that is, if He's on your side, if He's the one that is sticking close to you, if He's the one that predestined you, if He's the one that called you, who can be against you? Child of God, you've been set up for victory. So you need to go into this day with excitement, with vigor, saying, I already have the victory. I've already won. I already know who I am in God. He's already foreknown me. He's predestined me. He's already called me. He's already justified me. He's already glorified me. So now I'm simply going to walk in the power of his might. Child of God, God bless you this morning. Remember, you are a champion who has been set up for victory. God bless you.